Sometimes life turns upside down in just a few minutes. One decision, one act of kindness can cost you everything or change your destiny forever. This is the story of a young waitress who lost her job for something she never imagined was wrong, and how, the very next day, something so unexpected happened that it left the entire town in shock. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to hear will not only stir your heart, but also remind you that compassion can build bridges where judgment builds walls. Emily Carter was 24 years old, working double shifts at a roadside diner just outside a small town. She wasn't just a waitress, she was also a daughter trying to pay her mother's hospital bills, a sister who tucked her younger brother into bed every night, and a dreamer who still believed that kindness had a place in this world, even if life wasn't always kind back to her. The diner where Emily worked was known for its bright neon lights and greasy food, but it was also known for something darker, the unspoken rule that certain people weren't welcome. Everyone in town whispered about it, but no one challenged it. And on one particular evening, that unspoken rule came crashing down on Emily. It was late, the kind of night when the roads are quiet and the clock ticks louder than the voices in the room. That's when the door swung open, and in walked a group of bikers. Leather jackets, heavy boots, tattoos that peeked out from rolled sleeves. They carried with them a presence that made heads turn. Some customers frowned, others quietly picked at their food, avoiding eye contact. Emily, balancing a tray in her hand, noticed the bikers glancing around, unsure if they would even be served. She saw the hunger in their eyes, not just for food but for a little dignity. She didn't hesitate. With her usual warm smile, she walked over. "Good evening, folks. What can I get you?" she asked cheerfully. The table went silent for a moment. Then the leader of the group, a tall man with a gray beard and tired eyes, looked at her in surprise. "You're really gonna serve us?" Emily chuckled softly. "You came in hungry, didn't you? That's what I'm here for. Everyone deserves a meal." The bikers laughed, some shaking their heads, but they ordered. And as Emily poured their coffee and brought them plates of steaming burgers and fries, something shifted in the air. The bikers softened. They joked with her, thanked her politely, and even left a tip bigger than any she'd seen in months. But not everyone saw it that way. The diner manager, Mr. Collins, stood near the counter, arms folded, face twisted in disgust. He waited until the bikers left before storming up to Emily. "What the hell were you thinking?" he hissed. "You know the rules. We don't serve people like that." Emily froze. "People like what? Hungry, tired, human. They're troublemakers, criminals. Do you want them hanging around here? You embarrassed this diner." Emily's voice trembled, but she stood tall. "All I did was serve food to paying customers. That's my job." That night, before her shift ended, Mr. Collins handed her an envelope. "Don't bother coming back tomorrow. You're fired." Emily walked home in the cold, her apron still in her bag, her eyes brimming with tears. She thought of her mother's medical bills piling up, her little brother's school fees, and the fact that she had just lost the only steady income she had. All because she chose kindness over prejudice. She lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling, wondering if doing the right thing was worth losing everything. What she didn't know was that the very men she served, the ones who had walked out into the night, would come back into her life the next day, and nothing would ever be the same. The sun rose quietly the next morning, but Emily felt no warmth in it. She sat at the kitchen table, her hands wrapped around a chipped mug of coffee, trying to figure out how she was going to tell her mother and little brother that she no longer had a job. Her brother, Ethan, only 10 years old, asked innocently, "Em, are you going to the diner today?" Emily forced a smile. "Not today, buddy." As she spoke, there was a knock at the door, a heavy knock that made the whole frame shake. Emily frowned. Visitors were rare. She opened the door, and her heart nearly stopped. Standing there were the bikers from last night. The leader, the gray-bearded man, held his helmet in his hands. Behind him, the others stood silently, their eyes steady, not threatening but intent. "Miss Carter," he asked softly. Emily nodded, nervous. Yes. Did I forget something?" The man shook his head. "No, but you gave us something we won't forget: respect, dignity, a hot meal without judgment. That doesn't happen often for men like us." Emily blinked, unsure what to say. The man went on. "We found out what happened last night. Word travels fast in towns like this. You got fired for serving us, didn't you?" Emily lowered her gaze, ashamed, though she knew she had done nothing wrong. "It's fine. I'll figure something out." But the biker shook his head. "No, it's not fine. You stood up against prejudice, even if you didn't mean to. You treated us like human beings. And now it's our turn to stand up for you." Before Emily could reply, the bikers stepped aside. Parked on the street was a line of motorcycles, polished and gleaming in the sunlight. The men gathered around her, and the leader handed her an envelope. Inside was more money than she had ever seen, hundreds of dollars, maybe even thousands. Emily gasped. I can't accept this," she stammered. But the man cut her off.
"You can."
"Because this isn't charity. This is gratitude. You reminded us that there's still good in this world, and good deserves to be repaid." The story didn't end there. That same day, the bikers rode into town, with Emily on the back of one of their bikes. They parked outside the diner, where townsfolk gawked in silence. And in front of everyone, the leader walked in, slammed a wad of cash on the counter, and said to Mr. Collins, "This is for last night's meal. And this," he gestured to Emily standing proudly at the door, "is the best waitress you ever had. You fired her for being decent. Shame on you." Word spread like wildfire. Customers who had once turned their backs on Emily now questioned the unfairness of what had happened. Some even boycotted the diner, demanding Emily be reinstated. But Emily didn't need the diner anymore. With the bikers' help and the support of townspeople who began to see her in a new light, she found herself at the center of something bigger, a movement of kindness that broke the unspoken rules of hate. And from that day forward, Emily wasn't just a waitress. She became a symbol of compassion in her small town, the girl who chose kindness, paid the price, and was lifted higher than she ever thought possible. Sometimes, doing the right thing may cost you in the moment. You may lose friends, opportunities, even your livelihood. But the truth is, kindness never goes unnoticed. It plants seeds in people's hearts, and when the time is right, those seeds bloom in ways you could never imagine. Emily's story is a reminder. When you choose compassion over fear, you might just inspire a miracle.